What's up guys, welcome back for another Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Duel video. Next match, Cross-Banlist Cup. This is pretty much a rematch from, indeed, the top 16, one of the first top 16 matches here in the Cross-Banlist Cup 2019. So, a couple of matches left. Again, a rematch, right, between both two Dracos from 2018 versus Nekroz, Performage Nekroz from 2015. Back then it didn't really work out too well for Nekroz for the most obvious reasons. The multiple Floodgates really did it right in favor of two Dracos. So it's still the same lists, Performage Nekroz versus Draco with the multiple Floodgates. So which deck has the advantage, and purely based again upon the results from the previous video, like always, people like 88% are, voting for two Dracos over Nekroz, and over 1200 votes, and well, purely based on the previous match a couple of videos ago, if I'm not mistaken, it was 3-0, indeed, yeah, 3-0 for two Dracos over Nekroz. Again, it's just the Floodgates are too strong for Nekroz. The question is, well, my first question here before this matchup was, is Nekroz able to win at least one, and can they push through, right? So anyway, going second here this time, yeah, well, what can I do, right? Losing the die roll, so Nekroz going first, two Dracos indeed going first, and this isn't really the strong going first, even though, Card of Demise is such a blowout card, like a broken card against especially older decks, where, back in the old school days or years ago, where card advantage was much more important, right? Rivalry of Warlords is definitely one of the better Floodgates against the deck if you're not controlling a tribute summoned monster. So you can just shut down or bypass the Monarch's Erupt. So Rivalry, basically one of the only Floodgates outside of Skill Drain, right? Anyway, another Majesty's Maiden, I believe the name is, hits the field next to Heat, and that's just so crucial. So, getting rid of the rivalry here is basically a tell that there is indeed a second copy next to the Monarch's Erupt as well. But what can you expect after, two Card Demise, and I believe maybe one Duality, one Desires as well? I mean, what can you do? Multiple searches as well, because of the True King diagram. And of course, Disciples as well, the continuous spells also give you some extra draw power. So the consistency is definitely through the roof here, in case of true Dracos. And the fact that, Nekroz is quite of a consistent deck, either going first or going second, having the extra cards. Well, but yeah, you're playing against a deck relying on so many back rows and Floodgates, as in Monarch's Erupt, to shut down all monster effects. Rivalry of Warlords prevents multiple monsters hitting the field, as in, well, with a different type, that is, but for Nekroz that's basically the entire deck. Most monsters are quite different. We have Spellcaster, Warrior as well. So that's hard, especially for this particular deck. So against something like True Dracos, you definitely want to go first, I guess. I guess you definitely want to go first. But the problem is that, okay, I can go for Dweller, definitely good against True Dracos. But the thing is that Nekroz, it's quite of a big investment to go for the rank 4 Exceed first turn. Most optimal play for, the good old Performage, Nekroz, and even the mirror matches back then in 2015 was just, you use your Valkyries, pop or Suicide, or sacrifice your two monsters on the field after you used up Daikusto Emerald for the extra draw, replenish your engine, and then use your spell cards, your ritual spells from the graveyard as well, leave your field empty in the mirror match. That was so good. But here in this particular matchup, you can go for Dweller, but in case of True Draco, even though they'll lose their pluses off of the first turn graveyard effects, the deck has so many draw power, it doesn't matter, it just doesn't matter. And okay, Nekroz might be able to get multiple big beatsticks on the field. There is still, the Floodgates, as in maybe pretty much Rivalry of Warlords, and yeah, indeed, Apocalypse. Apocalypse halving the attack is also so devastating, and like both of the previous named cards are at maximum amount in the true Draco deck, so that's huge, right? And that maybe gets me thinking, especially for the future Cross-Banlist Cup series, is that, you know, like a side deck might be like a solution for this, you know, that, especially in this particular matchups where, let's say, one deck is heavily focused on floodgates, on trap cards, prevent your opponent from playing the game. I'd rather, you know, like want to prevent those decks of you know, being used in the Cross-Banlist Cup series, maybe with some exceptions, but my point here is that the other deck needs to be main decking those spell and trap destruction cards, Twin Twister, Heavy Storm, Mystical Space Typhoon, etc. And that's where Nekroz, especially for the time in 2015, it wasn't really main decking any spell and trap destruction, maybe against something like Mistake. But, well, for the Nekroz mirror matches, it wasn't really too optimal to main deck the spell and trap destruction, just side deck it against the other matchups. Anyway, so again, okay, Damage Juggler was, I believe, dropped during the previous turn, but against something like True Dracos, they'll just gain free advantage off of that, and during your own turn, as soon as you're using your own effects, I'm not really sure, was I going for Excite-a-Knight? I think there is the option, right? Excite-a-Knight in the extra deck, but even though it didn't really matter, right? Rivalry of Warlords prevents the Exceed Summon from going through. Well, like blocking or preventing or forcing me to go for like an Exceed Summon, and the only Exceed Summon I was able to go for was Trapeze Magician, being the spellcaster, right, due to Rivalry of Warlords, but it just doesn't matter. This is one of the few matches where I really felt like powerless. I think powerless is the correct word. Even though, like, True Dracos going first, going second, the deck has so much draw power and it's very hard for the deck to brick. And even though if the deck bricks, even with multiple desires, Card of Demise, Pot of Duality, and Diagram as well, I mean, with one card you can get there with your True Draco engine, and even though it's such a strong list, it can definitely afford of like floodgating your opponent, slowing down your opponent with your floodgates, and well, as soon as you draw one of the previous mentioned cards, you might get your engine running. So one extra duel again to, well, like always, to prevent spoilers, but this is again an okay turn. Like again, the Vanity's Emptiness inside, very similar to last time, right? You're only seeing Vanities are cards like Maxi and Emptiness in like the True Draco matchup, where there are like these where they are needed or just flat out terrible. And sadly, Valkyries cannot, let's say, sacrifice or send traps from your hand to the graveyard for the potential extra draw. Nope, that's not possible. Only monsters. And yeah, this is again the story of my life, right? With Nekroz versus True Dracos, going first or going second, and then the second turn for True Dracos is basically this: them having, let's say, one or two True Draco monsters on the field. The field spell as well is so bonkers, especially against older decks, giving the extra protection from being destroyed by battle. Well, once that is, but that's already a lot. Especially with a deck that's struggling of getting multiple big beatsticks on the field, especially if you're under floodgates. And yeah, that basically sums it up. This particular matchup is yeah, just impossible for Nekroz, especially without the use of a side deck, right? And even then. So yeah, Nekroz is out. And True Draco moves, moves on further into the left side here of the top 16 breakdown, I guess. So, next matchup here, again on the left, we have Extra Deck Monarchs versus Atlanteans. So, Mermail Atlanteans, pretty much both lists from almost the same time of period, so pretty much 2016. So again, like always, feel free to leave your predictions. Okay, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching, and feel free to leave a comment or a like if you enjoyed the video. Lithium signing out. Peace.